What's up, incredible, loved, and valued people? My name is Emma Mae, and I am just so grateful for your life. Welcome to the Compelled podcast, where together we are being thoroughly equipped to boldly live out our faith in Jesus. You know, something that I love about God's word, I love so many things about his word, but something that I love is that even though I've read it from cover to cover, I am still discovering things in it that I've never seen before. It's as though the familiarity of it does not take away the awe and the wonder as you read it. Like, you're just constantly learning about who he is, because his word is alive and active, and he is still speaking to us today through his word, even though it was written years and years and years ago. And even stories that I've read since I was a little girl, I am reading today, and I'm about to tell you of one of these occasions. I'm reading today, and I'm still seeing things in it that's like, wow, I'm learning about God's character, and he's meeting me where I'm at, and through his word, he's giving me discernment and encouragement and hope through the current season that I'm in. And so I just want to encourage you, friend, to keep going to the word, even in dry seasons, even whenever it's a struggle, even whenever you don't feel like it. I just want to encourage you to continue to cultivate the discipline of getting into the word and choosing to delight in his word, because he speaks to us through his word, because he equips us thoroughly through his word, because he shows us who he is, and he gives us hope through his word. And I've even found myself in really hard moments or in really trying moments where he brings back scriptures that I haven't sat with in a long time, but his spirit reminds me of the truth. I'm just so thankful that his word continually compels us to be in awe, even whenever we've read things 100 times over. And one of the things that's really caused me to dwell on this reality that's so amazing is the story of Noah and the ark. Like, this is a story where I think about it every time I see a rainbow in the sky. Like, this is a story that so many of us, even if you're not a believer, you are familiar with the language of the story of Noah and the ark and all the animals that filled the ark. And just to give a little bit of a synopsis of the story, so all of the world, this is in Genesis 6, so this is like way back early on, and all of the world is corrupt. It is incredibly wicked, and the scripture says that the Lord is actually sorry that he made mankind, because his heart is so grieved with the way that people are rebelling against him, with the way that people are not living in accordance with who he is and his truth. And so he goes to Noah and he says, I'm going to wipe out all of the earth, but I am sparing you and your family because you found favor in my sight. And so he says, not only am I sparing you and your family, but Noah, you are the one I'm choosing to build an ark. And he gives him all of the detailed instructions of how to go about building this ark. And he goes through the detailed instructions of, I want you to bring these animals on the boat so that they can continue to be fruitful and multiply whenever the floods have passed and whenever there's a clean slate. All the things. And I just want to pause there, because even as we're saying that, can you imagine being Noah in that moment? We don't get to read much about how Noah felt and what he experienced in the day-to-day of this story unfolding, but I wouldn't be surprised if he heard this command from the Lord, if he heard this news from God, and one of the thoughts that crossed his mind was, oh, what are people going to say? What are people going to think of me? Given the fact that he was already considered a righteous man amid a world that was entirely corrupt, he probably was already thought of as a joke by a bunch of people, because he was going against the grain, because he was not living as the world did. He probably did not have the approval of man in many ways. But I bet that this would probably dig it way deeper of, what are people gonna think? Not only are what people gonna think of those who are living differently than me, but what is my family gonna think? I'm gonna have to go back to my family and tell them what the Lord just told me. And like, even though they are with me, like they are going on this arc with me, what are they gonna think when I have to tell them this news? How long is this gonna take? How long are we going to be on the boat? What is it going to look like for the earth to flood? Like, that has literally never happened. And so there's so many unknowns. Not only that, but what's going to happen after this? Like, if all of the world is about to be wiped out and it's just me and my family on this boat, then what is community going to look like after this? And what is our homeland going to look like after this? What's the day-to-day going to be like? I mean, just so many questions. And I know that you and I are not being asked by God to build an ark amid a world that's about to be flooded, but you and I have been called by God to walk by faith. And to walk by faith requires that we step into the unknown. It requires that we step in all in, even though we have questions that aren't yet answered. It requires that we are willing to go, even though it's very possible that there will be people who think we're a joke, that there will be people who mock, that there won't be people who understand, or even questions like, how is this going to go out financially? Like, what is my financial situation going to look like if I am actually obedient to God in this? Like, not only are what people going to think, but what about my 5-year plan? Like, this is totally a reroute. This is a redirection of what I thought my life was going to look like. And now, God, you're calling me to go this way. You're calling me to do this. You're saying that this is what you have in store. And so, God, you're asking me to walk by faith, by releasing control of what I thought my life was going to look like. And I know that you and we want to walk by faith as Noah did. Amid the questions, amid the unknowns, amid the fear of what people will think, amid, like I said, the unknowns of not knowing what the plans are going to unfold to exactly look like. And there's the many emotions that come with that in just the day to day, just in the process of it. And something that I think is so fascinating is I've thought about those things before with this story. I've thought about the fact that Noah, he was required to walk by faith in obedience to God. And there were lots of questions, lots of unknowns. What will people think? But there is one verse that I think I have overlooked, and I think a lot of us overlook, and it is insanely significant. And it's actually the secret of how Noah walked by faith. What I'm about to tell you, I fully believe is the secret for how Noah stepped into the unknowns even when it was hard. For how Noah endured even though people probably thought that he was crazy for it. For how Noah led his family faithfully even when they did not know what the next years were going to look like. And that is Genesis chapter 6, verse 9. You ready for it? It's so simple, but it's so significant. Genesis chapter 6, verse 9. Noah walked with God. Noah was in close fellowship with God. Noah was God's friend. Noah and God were close. Noah and God walked together hand in hand. And friends, that's what compelled Noah to be obedient. That's what compelled Noah to be faithful. That's what compelled Noah, though we don't know if he was afraid of the unknowns, it would have made sense that he would have been. And that's what compelled him to press forward even in the face of being afraid of all that he didn't know, was that he was close with God. And that's what I have been so eager to share on this episode with you today, that friend, the unknown is scary. There are a lot of what ifs. There are a lot of possibilities. There can be a lot of change of plans. When you walk by faith, you are certain in what you hope for and you are confident in what you cannot see. It requires that you walk in unknowns if you walk by faith. But Noah tells us how to do it. It's to walk closely with God. You know what it makes me think of is John 15, where Jesus said, abide in me and I in you, and you will bear much fruit. Remain in me, Jesus says, dwell in me, make your home in my heart, and you will bear much fruit. And your joy will be complete, and you'll bring glory to my Father in heaven. But apart from me, you can do nothing. It is through closeness with God that we will continue to live compelled by the love of God. It is through closeness with God that we will continue to press forward even in the scary unknowns. Even when God calls us to build an ark, go against the grain, and step into the unknown. Even when it feels daunting, even when we don't know all the answers, God, I'm abiding in you. I trust you. I'm staying near to you. I'm continuing to hide your word in my heart. I'm continuing to, like Psalm 1 says, blessed is the man who doesn't walk in step with the wicked, or stand in the way that sinners take, or sit in the company of mockers. What am I saying? I'm staying close to God by choosing to stay close to godly people. God, I am choosing to draw near to you because I know that closeness with you compels me in obedience to you. It reminds me of what matters most. And the second thing that this story, again, that I've known, and I'm sure you have too since you were little, something that I've noticed that I had never noticed before. Fast forward, the boat is made, the animals have gathered. We're now in Genesis 7. And something caught my attention. Listen to this. So the rain starts coming. And in verse 13 of Genesis chapter 7, it says, that very day Noah had gone into the boat with his wife and his sons and their wives. With them in the boat were pairs of every kind of animal. 2 by 2 they came into the boat, a male and female of each kind. Just as God had commanded Noah, Noah was obedient because he was close with God. And then get this, verse 16. Again, this is so simple, but this wrecked me, friends. They're all in the ark. They're about to be there for a long time. Then the Lord closed the door behind them. The Lord provided. The Lord made sure that that boat was closed, that they were protected. The Lord made sure that Noah knew, hey, I'm here. Hey, I know that even that you have in the past and even now and continuing in the future, you're going to take steps by faith, walk into things that you never thought that you would. And I know that you can have feelings that are scary. I know it takes boldness to lead your family in obedience to me. But I'm shutting the door behind you to let you know that I am your provider. I am your protector. I am close. My presence is here, Noah, and I honor your obedience. So friend, I want to encourage you that not only does your closeness with God compel you to be obedient to God, but as you walk in obedience to God and circumstances may seem crazy and you may not know how everything's going to pan out, I want you to know that the Lord honors your obedience. That at the end of the day, you're going to look back and say, wow, God, you provided. Wow, God, you protected. Wow, God, your presence was close. You won't look back saying, man, I wish I wasn't close with God and I wish I wasn't obedient. You'll always be thankful that you were close and that you were compelled. So go live compelled.